Let's take this call. A caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, this is Nicholas from Oregon.
Nicholas, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. So I was just tuned into your show, and you said something about, which I totally agree with, about how it's not so much that the game is rigged, so much as it's their rules, and that's what you have to play by, kind of, if you want to win, at least in this one. I just want to know, and someone from the chat already kind of mentioned this, does that include then things like the New York primary and the shady stuff in Arizona?
Yeah.
Does that count as rigging? And if so, does that fall on the DNC or Hillary Clinton?
Good call. Good catch. So let's talk about the people who were purged. That's something totally different. I'm talking about the rules of the conventions, the rules of these conferences where they can literally assert their authority by the rules that they created. But the purge in New York City, that is still under investigation. The ridiculous lines and the purging that took place in Arizona, so that falls into the category of something that needs to be investigated, and there's investigations going on. Thank you for bringing that up. Let me make this very clear. When I say the game being rigged, I'm talking about their rules and their structure from the very order of the primaries. The states that go first, in the entire South that comes immediately after Iowa and New Hampshire, it is intentionally built that way to help protect the status quo structure that the Democratic Party established about 35 years ago now. That's one thing. The second thing is the superdelegates. They put that into play simply so that they could override, do exactly what they're doing right now. Exactly what they're doing right now is throughout this entire primary season, they have been giving the impression that Hillary Clinton is further ahead than Bernie Sanders has been. But that's not rigging the system. That's their twisted backwards rules, right, that they established years ago, right? So, and then, of course, the committee woman, the chairwoman, asserting her unchallengeable authority over and above the people, the voice of the people. That is a part of their rule system. So we are fighting on two ends, right? We're fighting some very direct suppression of voting by these purges that just happened to happen in New York, right, in Brooklyn, right? Was it 144,000 people in Brooklyn got purged right before the primary in New York, right? And then you have what's going on in Arizona. So, but no, thank you for making that clarification, or making me make that clarification. But we're definitely fighting on two different fronts. And here's the deal. I want to focus on me personally. I want us to focus proactively on the things that can be changed, right? With the voter suppression, if you didn't catch it beforehand, you were being reactive after the fact. You had to play catch up because you didn't know ahead of time, right? The voter suppression is something that lawyers need to get involved in, and it was something that happened, and a lot of people got blindsided by it. But it was the only thing you could do is react. And whenever you're put in a position where you have to react to something, you stand a good chance of not winning that. But with the rules that they've used to abuse the grassroots movement and this progressive movement, that's something that we can proactively address starting now. For the next time around, we can't retroactively change their rules. We can't have a reactionary response and expect them to change their rules. That it's too late, right? But to see it change in the future, and whether you do that or not, a lot of people are just saying, well, hell, I'll never have anything to do with the Democratic Party again. Fair enough, and that's your prerogative. Go for it. But the problem is, what happens when 8 years comes around or 16 years comes around and there's another progressive candidate trying to run up against the same damn rules that screwed Bernie Sanders up the first time, and all of the people who saw it and witnessed it, they basically just took a step back, erased their D's, became independents, and did nothing to change the rules for the next go round. Now, that may not be your strategy. Your strategy may be, I'm going to help build the Green Party, and we're going to make sure they get 5% in this next election so they can get federal funding, and that's the route we're going to go. Whatever route you choose, my brothers and my sisters, go and be about your business. Go get it done. Whatever route you choose, whatever is going to make you feel like you're being true to yourself, get it done. And let's not be reactionary, and let's not get caught off guard by their rules again. Why complain about their rules when we can help, and not even help? Why complain about their rules when we can write the rules for ourselves? The DLC, listen, the DLC is responsible for the rules that are screwing us up 30 years later. You realize that? With some variations. The superdelegates, the Southern strategy, all of that is baked into the system courtesy of the DLC. This has been a long game. They have been playing a long game on us, and I'm afraid that a lot of us are just reactionary, and we're not taking the long game. We're doing the short game. And they have been able to run over us, this progressive movement. They haven't been able to suppress this. They haven't been able to silence this progressive movement. But electorally, they've been able to run over this progressive movement because of their rules and because of some voter suppression, which, again, to be redundant, please allow me a moment to be redundant, because I need to drive the fact home. When you're fighting from a reactionary position, chances are you cannot change the result and the outcome. You have to be proactive against. Look how long they've been working on this, man. Look at how long this has been a long game in changing the dynamic of the Democratic Party from being a progressive movement. It's actually, I said 35 years. It's more closely to 45 years. They have been playing a very long game, and a lot of us are reactionary because we haven't been participatory in that game. And then those of us who got in the game got co-opted by the game, and it's just one big cluster F, if you ask me. But the fact remains is that the rules that a lot of people are complaining about from Nevada are definitely rules that they voted on years ago and voted themselves. You have to understand, it's not, these parties are not they're not noble institutions that are going to do the democratic thing, small d. They are private institutions that are going to do whatever it takes to protect their power. And so what that means, making rules that are very draconian, making rules that are very authoritarian, the complete antithesis of democracy, they will do it because it has every institution has a interest in self-preservation. And so we shouldn't be surprised by this. I think that's what I'm trying to drive home. Don't be surprised that this system is set up to ward off progressive movements, because this particular Democratic Party, this iteration of the Democratic Party, was set up by a third-way Democrat leadership council that was intent on suppressing the progressive movement. I hope I made myself clear and made that clarification for you guys. So no, I don't lump into that the shenanigans of this voter suppression, but I lump every single electoral hurdle that they put in place, whether or not your primary is opened or closed. That is a rule that has been established in almost every state at least a year prior to that primary. Those are rules that are there intentionally because they know in that local election how effective independents can be in challenging the establishment. Rules like that.